John, and welcome everyone to Mobile World Congress 2019. What a year it has been, or maybe not just a year. In fact, in 2017, I stood here and said 5G was coming fast. In 2018, I stood here again and said 5G was coming really, really fast. And now, here we are again. And I'm pleased to tell you that 5G is no longer coming fast. It is no longer coming at all, because it is here. And given that fact, I would like to share 3 key topics with you today. First, how we see 5G developing over the next few years. Second, why Nokia is extremely well positioned as that happens, and why I am confident we have the right strategy at the right time. And third, 5 predictions about what is to come as we move into the 5G era. Along the way, I will share some announcements that we are making here at the show. Then, as John noted, we can turn to questions. So let us dive right in. As I said, 5G is here. It is now, it is today. The United States got first mover status at the end of last year. Korea followed. China and Japan will move shortly too. Then the Nordics, Australia, the Middle East, and the rest of Europe. In fact, soon we can expect to see many operators in many countries launch 5G services of some kind. Staggered, yes, but moving quickly to pretty much every country. At the same time, as 2019 progresses, you will see more and more devices in the market. Standards will get locked down, chipsets will be more readily available, spectrum will be released, infrastructure deployments will move along. Overall, the whole 5G ecosystem will stabilize. And that is a big deal. After all, this is a technology that people originally assumed would arrive in 2020, with real volumes only after that. It has been a mad rush, and at times, it feels a bit like the wheels might come off the industry wagon. But the wheels have stayed on. And as the year progresses, things will feel less rickety and more like a precision performance car. Of course, there will still be some lumpiness. When we announced our Q4 2018 results, we said that we expect 2019 to be soft in the first half and robust in the second, with our addressable market remaining flattish for the year. You might find flattish to be a bit odd in the context of the Barcelona hype machine. But let me explain. Part of it is the staggered nature of the year. Things are moving fast, but if the first half is soft, there is only so much that can be packed into the rest. But we believe that 2019 will end with considerable momentum, both for the market and for Nokia. And that means we expect 2020 to be a year of growth. Again, both for the market and for Nokia. And we expect to continue to outgrow our market in 2019 and the long term, just as we did in 2018. The other thing to consider is what we learned in our 5G maturity index. We commissioned Analysis Mason to help us understand how our customers feel about their roads into 5G. And 2 things were made clear. The first was that early adoption of 5G was going to be fast across many countries. No shock there. But the second was that some of that early activity would be more like dipping a toe in rather than plunging into the pool. And after the initial rush, things will stabilize. Most operators expect it to take about 4 or 5 years after that initial rollout to get 5G deployed to 75% of their customers. That is pretty fast for a new generation of mobile technology. But still, an early rush, then a strong but steady rollout. So what does that mean for Nokia? And where does the company stand? The short answer is that we are remarkably well positioned. And I am absolutely confident that we have the right strategy at the right time. As a reminder, our strategy has 4 pillars. First, leading in high performance end-to-end networks with operators. our core business today. Second, expanding into select enterprise markets. Third, building a strong standalone software business. And fourth, creating licensing opportunities in the consumer and enterprise ecosystem. To explain why I'm so confident in our direction, well, the answer starts with what we call the virtuous circle of investment. Let me explain. As you know, 5G goes well beyond radio, but radio is where it starts. Operators are moving fast to build macro radio coverage, and Nokia is there with them. As of today, we're approaching 100 5G trials, MOUs, and deals in place, with more coming even this week. We also have a huge amount of 5G capable hardware in the field, including 3.8 million radio products. More importantly, we have signed over 20 5G radio and core contracts with customers in every region of the world. I don't have time to go through all those wins today, and plenty are not yet public, although you can see some key logos on the screen. But my advice is to keep your eyes and ears open during MWC. Over the coming week, you can expect to hear about deals that we have signed with an important US operator, with a European operator covering multiple countries and multiple parts of our portfolio, and with a terrific Middle East customer. Given all of this, I hope it is very clear that Nokia is very strong in 5G radio. But that is merely the beginning. All of the deals that I've mentioned here are radio and more. Among them, they cover cloud core, fixed wireless access, network agnostic software, professional services, massive MIMO antennas, and much more. Because that is the power of our end-to-end portfolio. So, back to our virtuous circle, where radio access network upgrades drive the need for high-capacity transport to data centers. And that means optical networks, it means IP routing. You can already see this demand in our results. For full year 2018, our optical business grew by 12% on a constant currency basis. And we took market share by an extraordinary 3 percentage points, becoming the third biggest vendor. And we are well positioned to become one of the top 2, given our expectation that we will continue to gain share. On the IP routing side, we returned to growth in the 4th quarter of last year, and we're feeling positive about our momentum. We took market share in 2018, and we're confident of further gains. Our FP4-based products are being well received and remain well ahead of what others have to offer. And of course, some of our competitors have nothing to offer in these areas, at a time when we are adding even more. Last week, we announced further additions to our Anyhaul transport portfolio. These new products deliver throughput speeds of up to a massive 25 gigabits per second to base stations. And they cover microwave, optical, IP, and broadband technologies within a carrier software-defined networking transport architecture. Let me give a concrete example, showing how 5G is driving sales for us beyond radio. We're fortunate to be able to work with Bharti Airtel in many areas. And we just announced that they are starting trials of our optical Anyhaul solution. They need to meet growing front haul needs today, but be ready for 5G tomorrow. Our extremely efficient, resilient, and high-performance capabilities will ensure readiness for the low-latency, high-capacity demands of 5G. But for now, they also support 3G, 4G, and enterprise services through a common platform. So it's high-performance and future-proof. Next in the circle is last-mile connectivity, where both massive MIMO and fixed wireless access are critical. Starting with massive MIMO, where size and power consumption make installation on many sites a real issue. We think we have an answer, and today we're announcing 2 new products. The first is the Nokia Rfic adaptive antenna, an industry first that uses smartphone technology to build smaller, cheaper, and more efficient products. And we're adding a new massive MIMO scheduler, which uses machine learning to make 5G radio run as smoothly as possible. And I'm pleased to announce today that Vodafone will be the first mobile operator in Europe to field test this new equipment. Another amazing innovation that I would like to share is the 5G AirScale Massive MIMO Adaptive Antenna and the 5G system module together, a complete base transceiver station. And both products are liquid cooled. Yeah, liquid cooled. Another industry first, and one that delivers a 30% cut in energy expenses, an 80% cut in carbon dioxide emissions, and almost no noise pollution. They're already being utilized by the Finnish operator Elisa. And get this, they are feeding the base station's waste heat into the central heating of an entire Helsinki apartment building. So it's better performance, lower costs, and improved sustainability. Then fixed wireless access, which is necessary because once consumers taste the power of 5G, they will want it everywhere, including their homes. Pleasingly, Nokia has the most complete fixed wireless access portfolio of any vendor. We also have something else. I talked earlier about the number of trials that we are participating in and the contracts we have won. I even mentioned some real deployments. All these things are good, they're great, but nothing beats a happy customer. And let me introduce you to one of those. It is my pleasure to introduce and welcome the CEO of Optus, Alan Liu, to the stage. Alan, come on.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to start by thanking Rajeev and the Nokia team for inviting us to be here today and to congratulate Nokia for all these new products that they've just announced today. It's great and a humbling experience to be able to represent Australia here on the international stage. Optus is a provider of premium telecommunication services in Australia. We are 25 years old as a company, and we have a revenue of about 8 billion customers, 8 billion Australian dollars and 10 million customers. We have the strongest telco brand in Australia, and we've been able to do that by delivering a differentiated customer experience and a world-class network. We believe that today we are in one of the most exciting and dynamic periods of the telecommunications industry. A time where there's huge change in customer behavior and a time where there's unprecedented competition. And in such times, the only way to stand out and be distinctive is by being exceptional. And the way that we can be exceptional as a telco is to focus on the heart of why we exist, which is our network. And that's why we are so optimistic about 5G. 5G will deliver unprecedented speeds and lower latency to our customers. And whilst we believe that 2018 was an appetizer to our customers, 2019 certainly will be the start of the main course. And that's why we worked so closely with Nokia to ensure that in January 2019, we were able in Australia to launch a commercial fixed wireless access product, the first commercial application of 5G, not just in Australia, but across the world, that integrated Nokia's 5G radio access network with the customer premise equipment that comes together with it. This technology is going to be transformative, and that's why, from a service provider perspective, the commercial the early commercial availability of this technology is critical to us, because it takes us from a period when we talk about engineering, we talk about acquiring spectrum, to one where we can actually, in a real-life environment, market the product, sell the product, look at the real-life implications of this technology, and operate this network. We believe that in doing this together with a partner like Nokia, both companies will benefit and will create a very strong competitive edge for both of us, because we will learn from this transformative new wireless technology much earlier than our competitors, and we will be able to create sustainable advantage for both our respective companies. There's a lot to be excited for in 2019 in our industry, and I believe that the partnership that we have with Nokia, a world-class provider of infrastructure and CPE, will allow us to celebrate a lot more milestones today and into the future as well. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Alan. It's an honor to work with you and the Optus. This is the new Fast Mile Home 5G. 5G. Not 4G, not Wi-Fi, 5G. It allows 5G connections at speeds of up to 1 gig per second, up to 25 times faster than LTE fixed wireless access. Its carrier aggregation means it piggybacks on the best 4G and 5G signals available. And it is equipped with the industry's highest gain antenna, delivering twice the indoor coverage, 3 times the downlink capacity, and 5 times the uplink capacity of traditional products. And unlike many others, it looks great. It's an example of true Nokia innovation with beauty. Maybe I can hold it up again just for the pride of it. Just like that. Yeah, right. Okay. So, continuing the journey, the next step is filling in coverage with large-scale deployments of millimeter wave cells. This is a brand new market made possible by 5G, and one that we intend to tap. Millimeter wave cells have relatively small coverage areas, but they give you 10 times more spectrum, and hence a gigantic capacity, meaning the future will be fast, very fast. But eventually it will not just happen, because the density of millimeter wave means that normal radio will not cut it. You need virtualized radio based at the very outer limits of the network. And that in turn will require edge cloud build-outs, creating another 5G enabled market. And again, we very much intend to go after it. So 2 new markets get enabled by 5G, the millimeter wave as well as the new market mentioned here. So we are ready for this. In fact, I can announce to you today that using Edge Cloud and powered by Nokia's Airframe and AirScale products, we have created the world's first multiplayer virtual reality environment over 5G in collaboration with Intel and Sony. That's the marketing talk. The real story is that we can make you Spider-Man. Even you, my friend sitting in the front row, KP. Because you could enter his world choosing costumes, slinging webs, and racing other players across New York City. It's pretty cool, no doubt about it, and revolutionary for gaming and other consumer applications. The same type of thing can be very useful for B2B applications as well. Think healthcare. But that is just the start. Edge Cloud will be at the heart of all kinds of mission-critical applications. Ambulances that can see around corners, haptic virtual reality bomb disposal, fleets of untethered robots on a factory floor. The future of factories. Delivering this requires far more than just radio or any one technology, which is why Nokia's end-to-end portfolio is so important. So at this point, we are roughly halfway around the circle. And so far, we have largely focused on the first part of our strategy, leading with operators. But then, things start to change. And they get even more interesting with the next step, which is network-agnostic software and slicing. This gets to the heart of our ambition to build a strong, standalone software business. The market is moving in a way that puts us in the sweet spot. Managing across the full 5G network, particularly when network slicing arrives, is a complex challenge. And it will trigger a build-out of relevant software systems. End-to-end orchestration software, a new intelligent network management system, comprehensive security capabilities, domain controllers like Nokia, Cloud Band, and others. All fully automated, using AI machine learning and working seamlessly across the entire life cycle of a slice. But beyond slicing, the 5G era will be big for software. Actually, massive. Upgrading your software systems, making them ready for industrial automation, opens so many doors. To new asset management software for enterprises, to customer experience management at a newly granular level so you can predict your customers' next moves, to advanced analytics, and entirely new versions of operation support systems and business support systems, including new upgrades for operators to target industrial IoT. And of course, it paves the way for cloud core to hold entire 5G networks, along with analytics and a whole range of other software. A win-win for customers and for us. That is why building an independent software business makes sense, and that is why I'm so proud that Analysys Mason recently rated Nokia as the best of the best for telco software. We've already seen the promise become reality. Nokia's software grew at around 4% in full year 2018 and ended the year with excellent momentum, growing 12% in Q4. We now have an independent software business with annual revenues well beyond 2.5 billion euros. And as an example of the progress that we're making, I'm delighted to announce that we have just signed a memorandum of understanding with Korea Telecom to conduct 5G trials for network virtualization and slicing using Nokia software solutions. While operators will embrace slicing to grow their enterprise business, many potential customers will prefer to meet their Industry 4.0 needs with their own private networks. That brings us to the fifth step of the circle where enterprise comes to the fore. And this is one of the primary reasons that we have enterprise as a key part of our strategy. The market here is developing and we are driving it forward. Think about factories, ports, logistics, smart cities, utility companies. All these environments and more could benefit from the flexibility and security of a private network. We expect, get this, we expect in the range of 15 million industrial sites to be connected by private wireless over the next decade. And that is about double the number of macro equivalent base station sites that operators have today. This means a potential new market, and it's not a small one. It is starting to happen now, and we believe that it could be worth about 15 billion euros by 2025. And it will continue to grow at around 20% well beyond that year. And that really just covers 4G and 5G private wireless. It does not cover the industrial automation software market where we have increasingly strong capabilities. So it's another fast-growing market, although the software one is a bit hard to quantify at this point. In sum, loads of potential, and we mean to tap it. That is why on January 1st this year we created an entirely new enterprise business group. It will build on Nokia's double-digit growth and strong margins in this area in 2018, a year where we added over 150 enterprise customers, bringing our total to over 1,000. And our target is to quickly scale to 4 times that number. Let me give you an example of the value that we can bring. Komatsu is the world's second largest supplier of construction and mining equipment. We have just announced that that we are working with them on the mining industry's first ever system of unmanned trucks in Arizona. Running 24/7, no breaks, with automated refueling and repairs. Getting raw materials processed more quickly, safely and efficiently than ever. All run over a private network supplied by Nokia. And it is the same story for BMW, Daimler, ABB, a State Grid Corporation of China, Brazil's power distributor Electro, Kone Cranes, Sempra, and many other well-known names. These customers are buying our radio units for their private networks. And today that is mainly LTE networks, but that will change. Many are already thinking about upgrades to 5G radio and even beyond radio. IP and optical networks, LTE railway upgrades for the railways, professional services, SD-WAN, and vertical-specific analytics software platforms. A whole lot that Nokia can provide. All of this activity will generate a huge amount of data flowing across the network. And so that takes us back to the beginning of the cycle again. Back to radio upgrades, and that goes around again and again because there is new spectrum in which you're going to deploy your 5G networks. Oh, and one more thing. Don't forget all the devices that in many cases will require licensing of Nokia technology. So today, there are about 7 billion connected devices. They're mainly mobile phones. By 2025, there will be over 100 billion of them in consumer electronics, cars, robots, and many industry verticals. The true IoT era. And Nokia has a huge opportunity there, as well as an opportunity to license our patents, technology, and brand through our Nokia Technologies business. Our existing patent portfolio is helping companies around the world add value for their customers. And our innovation engine continues to charge ahead, constantly adding high-quality patents. In fact, in 2018, we filed patents on more than 1,300 new inventions. We've also declared more than 1,400 patent families essential to 5G, which made us feel confident about announcing the licensing rate expectation for 5G phones. In 2018, Nokia Technologies hit 1.5 billion euros in sales. And with our continuous work on innovation and patent licensing, tech, as we call this business, has more to give. For example, most of our licensing revenue today is from the mobile phone market. We now have more than half of that market by volume under license. And last year, we extended our agreement with Samsung and signed a new deal with Oppo. But there is still room for that revenue to grow. We have a strong pipeline of deals in negotiation, including a healthy number in China. Today, more than half of the mobile phones consumers buy from Chinese mobile phone companies are licensed to our patents. And we're engaging relevant industry players to grow that further. And our technologies are also relevant in consumer electronics. We have leaders in digital cameras and gaming consoles under license, as well as names such as Roku, a leader in streaming video, Vaciu, a top 3 US smart TV maker, DJI, the world's leading drone maker, and electronics giant Casio, with more to come. And not just in the consumer space, but with enterprise. We're already seeing our first revenues from connected cars, with more to come in that space. In short, we believe that licensing will be an important part of Nokia for years to come. That is a virtuous circle. And from leading with operators to expanding into vertical markets, from building a strong standalone software business at scale to create licensing opportunities, it puts Nokia in pole position for 5G. It means our strategy is spot on and gives us an edge in both the short and long term. After all, how many other companies can address the full gamut of end-to-end 5G for operators and enterprise customers in all the major world markets? Not many, in fact, none. No other company has both the span of portfolio and regional presence to match Nokia. No other company is growing as fast as us in the large enterprise networking market. None of our telco infrastructure competitors have a strong, dedicated, and global enterprise channel that can support more growth in the future. Some can match us in terms of geography, others in terms of portfolio. Some have a bit of enterprise networking going on, but only Nokia can do it all. We can help customers in every country with every step of their journey. All of which is a long way of saying one simple thing. Nokia is extremely well positioned for the 5G era. And yes, that is good for us, but it is also good for our customers. To start with, we can simply package more solutions for our customer. That is just efficient for both telco operators as well as for enterprises. Think about all those enterprise verticals that I mentioned who want to build their own network. Many of them don't want to shop around for different parts of that network. With us, they don't have to. They can buy systems to solve use cases, which eventually becomes solution sales and large project sales. That is a great opportunity, but it gets better. Look at India. Over the last 4 years, our overall business there grew by nearly 50%, 50, and the number 2 competitor declined by 30%. Amazing. Drill down into those figures, and you see that what was previously the primary Nokia business in India of radio and services, that grew in constant currency by about 15% in 2018. And the portfolio that we acquired from Alcatel-Lucent, fixed networks, IP and optical, grew by over 40%. Cross-sell. We're seeing similar progress elsewhere. In the Middle East and Africa, Nokia's business grew by about 3% in constant currency for the last couple of years, while our nearest competitors declined by double digits. So, how exactly is this happening? Because we've been cross-selling and upselling like mad, gaining share of wallet by constantly selling more products to existing customers. Our end-to-end portfolio makes that possible, and it's powerful for our business. Another thing that we believe is good for our customers is a single integrated supplier model. Nokia Bell Labs, the designers of the 5G Future X network, they compared a hybrid multi-vendor model to a single end-to-end network solution. And you know, the kind that you can buy from Nokia. So basically, the multi-vendor model is a bad idea. In fact, a really bad idea in the world of 5G. Because a single integrated network solution model can deliver up to 30% lower total cost of ownership, higher reliability, and 45% time to market for new services. And those are massive benefits, and no company is better positioned to provide them than Nokia. Exciting times, no doubt about it. But of course, not everything is bright. And attention has turned to security topics. People everywhere are asking legitimate questions about how best to secure critical networks, about which vendors are appropriate to use and which are not. Now, I'm not going to go down that path, but I do want to address comments suggesting that if certain vendors are held back, then Europe's 5G rollout will stall and costs will rise. Bluntly, the facts just do not support the claim. After all, 5G is an ecosystem. It is not a copyright. No single company determines how and when it develops, and its deployment is not dependent on any one company alone. It certainly seems illogical to me to suggest that Nokia can support the 5G requirements of lead markets like the United States, but cannot meet the needs of European countries. In reality, Europe is likely to face other constraints. One of them is spectrum. Some countries have already released 5G spectrum, but many others have not. We encourage every country in Europe and beyond to make spectrum available fast and to ensure that it is affordable. Another constraint is lack of consolidation of European operators. I know this is not new news, but the problem remains. There are plenty of countries where there is a smaller number of operators, around 3, who have the strength to invest in their networks. Not surprisingly, those are the countries that are moving first and fastest to 5G. And competition remains robust. And when it comes to costs, well, we are confident in our ability to compete. As many of you know, Nokia has always put a premium on productivity and efficiency. However, let us be clear, cheaper is not always better. Better is better. And when it comes to network security, better really matters. Nokia builds security into its products as an integral part of the design process. And like ethics, it is an area where we do not compromise. And this brings me to my predictions. 5 predictions about 5G. First, security will be priority number 1 for enterprise customers. Cast iron, non-negotiable, not an upgrade, not an afterthought. Operators who sell to the enterprise, pretty much all of them, will need to act to address this demand. The reason is simple. Many enterprises will rely on operator-provided networks for mission-critical functions. Resilience will be a must. And without security, there is no resilience. Essential trade secrets will flow over those networks. Airplane engine innovations, pharmaceutical formulae, electric car schematics. Things worth not just millions, but billions. Second prediction, somewhat to their surprise, operators will start to make some real money from 5G enterprise services. Some of our customers see the opportunity there, others are not so sure. Yet, in a Nokia Bell Labs study, we found that the enterprise market opportunity for operators will expand from around $500 billion today to a potential $1 trillion by 2028. A big slice of this increase will be down to the growth in IoT connectivity revenues, which will rocket from about 2% of operators' total revenue today to 10% in a decade's time. And 100% of these gains will be down to the power of 5G. Third prediction, 5G will enable productivity growth on a historical scale. I've talked about this before, about how 5G and other technologies will create a tipping point for productivity. Between about 2028 and 2033, we expect gains similar to those the US experienced in the 1950s, in the range of 30 to 35%. And not just in the United States, China and India could see similar productivity growth, albeit a few years later. That is revolutionary. That could really help make the world a better place. Number 4, 5G will grow, and grow, and grow, for up to a decade. Now, there are several reasons why. First, 5G will continue to evolve. Consider that the full slicing standards have not even arrived yet. Second, it has the widest ever spectrum to be deployed for wireless networks, and that will give it legs. Third, the use case for 5G may start with consumer broadband, but it will certainly not end there. Industrial IoT and enterprise digitization will drive longer-term uptake. This does not mean, however, that 4G will disappear anytime soon. In fact, it will continue to do a lot of the heavy lifting for networks in most of the world. That's good. That's good news for vendors like Nokia and indeed for the entire ecosystem, because mature product margins will help offset continued investment into the new. And speaking of the new, my last prediction, and I am 100% sure about this one, is that I will not come here next year and tell you how excited I am about 6G. Sure, it will come in time. It has clearly generated interest in the United States, and our researchers at Nokia Bell Labs are already exploring 5G plus and 6G concepts, looking at new ways to leverage different spectrum bands. But first, we need to fully tap the power of 5G. There is so much we can do with it, and so much it can do for us. So, in summary, 5G is here, Nokia is winning, we are well positioned with the industry's most comprehensive portfolio and the right strategy to win even more. With that, John, over to you.
Thank you, Rajeev. Now we've got time for a few questions. I'll try and let you go before the top of the hour, because I know people are back-to-back in these busy days.